coming in. I am Randi Zuckerberg. I am a huge fan of On-Chain Monkey, an investor in Metagood, a holder. It's wonderful to be here with everyone. Sitting next to me, I have a long-time friend and colleague, Ettore, Rossetti, of Save the Children, who is just an incredible leader and innovator in this space. We have Apolo from Tribe Capital, the world's most decorated winter Olympian of all time. Amazing. And Ettore of On-Chain Monkey. I could not be prouder to be here with these incredible people today. So let's honor these panelists with our attention and our love. Thank you, everyone. All right, so Apolo, I'd love to start with you. I saw a video that you did about why athletes love crypto so much. So I'd love maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that and how you're leading the charge there.
Well, I think anyone who has touched, whatever this new paradigm is, this experiment of NFTs, and I think finding and creating new additional ways to have more transparent conversation with your fans, engagement with new people. Typically athletes are always looking for ways to increase one of two things. One is kind of clout within their specific sport or industry, and or two, with their existing fan base, because monetizing or leveraging the power of media is something that's almost unrivaled, and we've seen people grow from, we see that in the web too, we know whether you're a YouTube influencer, whether you've spent time on TikTok, once you have an audience, any real true audience, that ability to monetize and create some kind of financial product has been apparent across the space for many, many years. And as we go from kind of rent-seeking behavior that existed previously, which is like large platforms, and by the way, these platforms are amazing, right? And they've provided an incredible opportunity, but as the next generation of consumer and athlete and celebrity wants to find new additional ways to create, like I said, higher levels of transparency with their engaged audience, in a way that still harnesses the power of what community means. I think the one missing element that all projects are still searching for today is, what is the real world utility? How is this better than what already exists with my interaction with these celebrities or sports fans? And then the other human component, which is what I talked about earlier, which is human beings have been doing the same types of behavior sentiment for hundreds of years, right? So whether it's watches or cars or homes or clothing or fashion or makeup, people are always looking for that external signal of affirmation of this is cool, now you're in the club, this is okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But that's how we as human beings have always signaled out to, this is the status I am from a financial perspective, this is the group of friends that I hang out with, this is the events that I get access to, and that hasn't really changed. And I remember last year, all of my friends who are avid watch collectors who are also in sports, and they have amazing watch collections that are just mind-bogglingly expensive. And I remember when I first started talking about crypto to them at 17 and 18, they were like, "Oh, I'm not interested. It's not useful." And then they would wear these $500,000 watches. When I saw them at the end of last year and this year, instead of their old watches I saw them wearing before, they were all wearing Apple Watches. And on the face of the Apple Watch was the JPEG image of whatever, Ether Rock or whatever that they were, trying to basically flex onto the community. And I think that was an interesting component. That stuff is probably way less interesting to me. I find myself being drawn to, I think, projects and communities who are, I think, trying to find deeper contextual layer of harnessing the power of a more decentralized or open financial mechanism of design, using a token or an NFT to validate ownership, to validate, proof of attendance, whatever those things might be, and then using that in some capacity, as we saw, and I don't know how many people from California, but with what everyone did at Coachella, with having this experiment of having this NFT being issued to be part of these big music festivals, that is a really smart strategic way to go top down from a culture perspective. So we think about culture as like athletes, music, fashion, celebrity, all those things are at the precipice of what we are kind of drawn to. So depending on what you like, and if those types of influential figures are speaking and talking about a new paradigm shift of where we think importance is, whether it's a digital twin of yourself in the future or a visual representation like Ready Player One, where you can be something or something like yourself or something different, and basically export that to the world in a digital environment, that's going to be very, very important. So anyway.
Okay, so while you have the mic still, you've been in some very stressful situations in sports. What's more stressful, that or Web3? And can you name your most stressful experience in either industry?
Well, I don't trade, so I feel for people who had bought into, I think, the promise of the hype, and crypto is obviously incredibly volatile, and price aside, I think underlying this is it's totally different, right? This is very, very different. I think what's really interesting today is, even when I was coming up the elevator, just listening to someone who was saying like, oh, I'm new to this space. I try to go to as many satellite events as possible. I think the community aspect of kind of wanting to learn and grow and have other people teach you in crypto specifically, or web, whatever you want to call that iteration, is very unique outside of other industries. Other industries, in the traditional sense, have been very closed door, very closed-minded, and they're less wanting to bring you in or teach you about this. And so, everyone used to think like DeFi was going to be this next wave of adoption of institutions using this new portal to have open finance. And I think probably the argument today is NFTs is going to be the next, it probably already is, the easiest way for the average person and consumer to want to interact with that person who's a YouTube influencer, that musician, that artist, or just provide a new creative layer for people to interact with. And that can be through philanthropic means, that can be through financial ownership means, that can be through sports. And I think all this stuff is just happening right now, and you can make the argument of saying, hey, this stuff is not getting traction, or you can say these are all part of the experiments that in the next 5 to 10 years, we don't know what that looks like, but we know where it starts. And so that's what excites me, is seeing all types of new faces that are hungry to learn, that want to be in the industry in some capacity, and see a potential alternative route versus the traditional 9 to 5 that we have been told to subscribe to. This is what your life should be for the next 40 years. And so creative expression is something that is entirely different, and we're entering that space now.
All right, so you keep your cool under the face of pressure then. That's the key to success. Ettore, let's go to you. You've been at Apolo was just talking about basically everything that you've been at the forefront of, from Web 2 to Web 3. You've been at the forefront of streaming, gaming, now crypto and NFTs. So what was your aha moment, and why do you think it's so important for more charitable organizations to be embracing crypto?
Yeah, so Save the Children is 103 years old, and I like to say we're crypto OGs, right? Because we were the world's first INGO that accepted a Bitcoin donation back in 2013.
Yes.
And On-Chain Monkeys is part of that success and community, most recently supporting our Ukraine efforts. But back then, I wish we hodled, but we didn't, right? We exchanged it for fiat. A little hodler remorse. But that said, we can trend spot, and Web3 is here to stay. I totally agree with Apolo that it is really Web 1 plus Web 2 equals Web 3. It's really a simple math, right? It's content and commerce, it's community and conversation, and now it is crypto and collaboration. And that's why I'm here. We collaborated, and it's awesome to be able to support the emergency in Ukraine through this community in such a fast way and a transparent way.
I love it. So why do you think that so many philanthropic organizations are still so resistant? What do you wish you could say to them in the midst that you wish you could overcome?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of FUD, right? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And believe me, we're a venerable, risk-averse organization. But you need somebody internally that's a believer. I've been at Save the Children now going on 18 years. So I've built up some street cred and some trust. And therefore, I think that's what an organization needs, is an internal champion. And then once you have the champion, you have the people, you need the policies, the culture, and the will to take a considered risk. Yes, there'll be epic wins and epic fails, but you gotta be in the game. Because I truly believe that Web3 will revolutionize philanthropy. I like to spell it differently though. Rather than DeFi, decentralized finance, I like to say DeFi with a PH, decentralized philanthropy. Because anyone,
I everything. Oh, a very beautiful Eva! Yes! Here, come join us. I'll bring down. All right, I'll give you a chance to catch your breath. Amanda, I'd love to hear a little bit about how you have kept your community and mission so strong, even despite all the ups and downs around crypto, and some of your recommendations and advice to the audience.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just can look to your left and right here and just see like the energy. I mean, how excited people are to meet in person. This is just a little fraction of our community of holders, but we do a lot of this in person. I mean, we think it's very important to get people together, to connect, to talk, to mingle. We've also done a lot of stuff online. So, we held a poker tournament with Charlie Lee and Owen Wilson and Woody Harrelson, and people bought in using their digital bananas. And actually, that was the winning pot was like 5,400 bananas. And then we actually, as an organization, decided to donate a little bit to Save the Soil, which is helping to solve the soil extinction crisis, because Woody Harrelson narrated, Kiss the Ground. So we always try to do something which is fun, but also, can do good in the world. So, a lot of IRL, a lot of online. Punacha came and spoke from the Chopra Foundation earlier. We did a private Discord meditation with Deepak Chopra just for our monkeys, which was a lot of fun as well. And we had Olympian Julia Dumovic. She's a 3-time Olympian. She won the gold in snowboarding women's at Sochi. And she talked about how basically how she gets into flow state and why she likes to snowboard race, and then he kind of broke down like the science behind it. So we do a lot of cool things. We've had Apolo on the Twitter Spaces, that was kind of open to people. We've had incredible people from Lorishin of the Cryptopians to Andrew Chen, who's part of Andreessen Horowitz, Cold Start Problem. So we're always thinking of creative ways to kind of bring our community together, share thoughts, and network, and create value for them.
I have to say, you're probably the most on-brand person, marketing-wise, like how you dress and everything I've ever done. Like Amanda's always in an OCM hat,
I love our merch. I mean, I wore this hat and an On-Chain Monkey t-shirt to the Grammys. Literally, like all the ladies were in super fancy, like decked out gowns, and I'm like, if I'm going, the monkeys are going, and I have to figure out an outfit that works with the t-shirt and the hat, and I rocked it.
Your passion for the community and your life, it bleeds through in everything you do. And I'm a major FOMO over these cool hats, so I need to.
I have a secret stash, so I can get one for you.
Okay, Amanda, while I have yes. Oh my gosh!
Oh, boom, Sophia, thank you.
Okay, talk to us about Karma. It's almost here.
Yeah, so we will be doing our Karma public mint on Wednesday, June 29th. We couldn't be more excited about it. We have an awesome team who's the art team behind Ice Age, Rio, Ferdinand. They've been working on this collection for 9 months, so the art is incredible. Also, everyone who's either a Genesis or Karma NFT holder will be able to propose and vote for projects in our DAO. 50% of the mint revenues will go into the DAO treasury. And actually the first vote we did was because On-Chain Monkey created a mosaic of 25,000 monkeys in the shape of the world with a heart over Ukraine. We sold them for 0.1 ETH, and we had our community vote which charity it should go to, and overwhelmingly Save the Children International was the recipient for those funds. So we were able to kind of bring our community together, and within 2 weeks raise $185,000 and donate to Save the Children.
That's truly incredible. Maybe we can grab the microphone down here for the incredible Modja, who just joined us, climate and women's rights activist, founder of Code Green, is an incredible person. You've had so many impressive pivots in your life, from musician to activist to now at the forefront of Web3. I'd love to hear a little bit about kind of your light bulb moment of what was your aha and what you're most excited about in Web3 these days.
Thank you so much, Randi. Hi, everyone. I deeply apologize for being late. I was literally on the other side of the city. So for me, when I discovered Web3 almost 2 years ago, it was just mind-blowing. Like, I was like, how is this even possible? And the possibilities that is offering, that this space is offering. And philanthropist, I just couldn't imagine doing anything else than creating a non-profit and something that can have a positive impact on the real world. So we funded Code Green, and we really wanted to focus on social, gender, and climate justice, and how we can connect and help bridge, the digital community and the communities that are living either on the front line of climate change or in communities that are living in war zones or really difficult social position. So for us, it was a long journey to try to find the best way to do it, and find our communities that is going to support us. And it has been an amazing journey. And as an activist, I find that there is an infinite possibility in the Web3 space that the traditional activism has been very slow for me. I mean, it took time to raise funds, and in Web3, it's a matter of sometimes just hours to be able to make a positive impact and change people's life. And so I feel truly blessed to have discovered this and have been working for the past 18 months on this.
Well, I know so many of us in the community feel blessed by your incredible impact. A lot of people, especially in the media, when they like to write a meme story about NFTs, they talk about the environmental impact. So how do you balance being both an environmentalist and in Web3, and what would you like to say to all those people?
Well, I think it's a matter of balance. We have to know that the technology is not perfect, but nothing is perfect, and sustainability is a journey. We are such a young industry, and people expect us to be perfect right away. And I think that it's a space that have been conscious about it and are willing to make a change compared to industries that have been here forever and are still not on the sustainability journey. But there are tools to make it more sustainable. There are blockchains that are more. And I think that we shouldn't throw the baby with the bathwater. We should really, work with what we have now and try to limit the impact or balance it out. And really the good that we can do with this space weighs, it outweighs the bad. And also there are a lot of misinformation on the impact that, the Ethereum blockchain, for example, has on our climate.
All right, so it's hard to believe that we're already near the end, so I'd love to just go down the line and hear from each of our panelists. What does success look like for you when we're gathered here a year from now at next NFT.NYC, and any parting words of wisdom?
Okay, I would say a year from now, if we are part of an NFT collab and maybe even mint our own collection, next year marks the 100th anniversary of the Declaration of the Rights of the Child, which was written by our founder, Ettore. And imagine if we were to digitize that document and give it away to the world. And then as far as long term, Save the Children shouldn't have to exist. Protecting kids' rights should be a human right. And I think Web3 can solve that.
I think in a year from now, I'd love to be able to see, more real-world utility and real-world assets that are coming on-chain. I think that's something that we need to see more of. I'd love to be able to see and say that the UI/UX component of entering crypto has been radically and drastically improved, right? So, I just don't see a future where, and I love the team at E and Consensus, but I just don't see a world where we're interacting with our MetaMask wallet the way we do today. I think that is going to be radically different. So it's just like how we send email. Most of us probably don't really understand the encryption of what's happening behind the scenes, but we know that it's typically working. And I'd love to be able to see how that works. And then I think just improvements around the governance and DAO space, right? I think the idea in concept is amazing, but humans have issues voting in this country, period. We've seen that with every election. So if we can improve the way that we all interact, that would be interesting. And then the final thing I'd love to say in a year from now is more and more of these highly successful projects, whether they are service-based industries, whether they are NFT projects, I'd love to be able to see a do-good charitable component associated with that. But I can tell you firsthand, regardless of how much success that you have, the one single human factor that is so incredibly powerful and fulfilling is when you can contribute back to something that you know is uplifting, that helps other people, both from a community perspective, from a philanthropic perspective, and you can kind of choose your own journey. And crypto has that ability. It's still not perfect, but I'd love to be able to see more and more companies and projects and founders who are really interested in saying, yes, you can be hyper successful, yes, you can have financial aid products, and yes, you can do good for both environmental, for inclusivity, all these different components that you can choose and what's important in your own path. But don't lose sight of that, right? The last thing you want to have happen is to turn 80, look back on your life and say that you've been chasing something that the world has told you that they thought was important for you, and then you realize that it really didn't matter. And so, we have a very finite amount of time on this planet, so we need to stop acting and living as if we have an infinite life, both in terms of the businesses that we participate in, the way that we conduct our own business and career path and journey, and also how we contribute back to our loved ones, family, friends, circle, and then that expands and moves on.
That's really powerful. I couldn't agree more. So I think from what we're trying to do, we always talk about Metagood's mission is really to empower communities to be catalysts for positive collective action. When we were at Consensus in Austin, we talked about kind of Metagood being like this magic wand, right? Where we're able to kind of point the wand towards a problem and we get Sharbaku and her family out of Afghanistan to Italy. We see that there is a digital divide globally. Many people, we're so lucky we all have internet, right? There's so many people who do not even have internet. How can we work with the UNICEF initiative to bring internet to schools globally? We saw what's happening in Ukraine, and as a community, we said, we've got so much creative talent and tech skills. What can we contribute somehow, not that we're doing it on the ground, you guys are doing all the tough work, but that we can at least financially contribute to help causes like Save the Children. So it's just the beginning. This magic wand is just starting to tap the surface of the world where we see places where we feel like as a community and as a company we can make a true impact. When you ask what I'd like to see a year from now, our DAO is up and going, but it's a new thing, right? So I would love next year to come back and have a whole slide presentation where the night before I'm trying to decide, am I going to show this example or which is the best, or we want to hear this, and I have this whole deck of at least 20, 30 slides of companies, communities, projects that we've been able to impact through our DAO, that have been funded through our DAO treasury, that came from our community, that were voted on, proposed, reworked, revoted, and then actually set into action. And that is what I'd like to see next year at NFTs.NYC for Metagood.
So I absolutely agree with all of you. I think that there is a need for, onboarding new people, more women, more minority, more people from underserved communities. And what I would love to see with Code Green is really having an impact on more and more charitable organization from smaller sizes, which are the ones who struggle the most to get fundings, to bigger size organization, really globally, and make sure that this space is open globally and that nobody is left behind. And as being, I am from Africa and I'm really working hard to get, women and girls being part of this journey, and how we can really harness the power of creativity and create a huge impact and change also the narrative that is around NFTs. And finally, I really hope that we'll keep, having these relationships, these genuine connections. And for me, it has really changed the way that I see collaborations. I've never collaborated this good before coming into the Web3 space. And hopefully we'll keep on also having fun. And yeah.
Randy, can we start a question to you? Thank you so much thank you for moderating, first of all, but I want to hear a little bit from you, because you do so much for empowering women and getting newer in the space, and we so appreciate you as one of our investors. So can you share a little bit what you want to see next year?
Thank you. Wow, I was not prepared. I was going to get ready to just thank the four of you for. I mean, I really like every single one of you could have. You've all had such success in your industries. You could have just stopped, and you're here working tirelessly on the front lines of a new renaissance, really. I guess what I'd love to see, first of all, I have to say I'm really heartened and excited. I was at NFT.NYC last year. I think I was one of 6 women at NFT.NYC, and it's really incredible. I'm already starting to see a huge shift in who's at the table in Web3 and who has a voice. I'd love to see even more than that. I think we can do a lot better. I think we can do a lot better to have more women at the table. I think that if we truly want to shape the internet that we all want to be a part of, it starts right now with making sure that we have all voices at the table from the beginning. So that's what I'd love to see. I think we're making great strides towards that, and but I know for all of us that it's something that's so important to you, Amanda, to everyone in the On-Chain Monkey community and all of us on this panel. So with that, I want to say thank you so much to these incredible panelists that we have here. Sorry, I'm flustered. I wasn't expecting to And I definitely echo the more fun, because if we're taking ourselves way too seriously in this space, like, we're going to miss the joyful ride that we're all on. So Ina, Ettore, Apolo, Amanda, thank you so much for your time and generosity. You're all truly incredible. Thank you to everyone for being here.